Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and stick around. Also, if you need help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. I also have some self-study courses about manifesting your specific person. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, I want to answer a question that comes up quite often, and it's also becoming up quite often in my coaching lately. And that is, once I reach the Sabbath state, another word for saying the state of the wish fulfilled, and I'm going to explain briefly what that is it possible that I may fall out of it? So this is what I'll be discussing in today's video. Stay tuned. So before I answer the actual question, very briefly, what is the Sabbath state? I have made videos about it. You can find them in my Neville Goddard playlist. However, just as a quick reminder, the Sabbath state is the state where you have this very calm, very confident, very deep inner knowing that your desire is manifesting, that your desire is done, there is nothing else that you need to do, the seed has been planted, everything is well, you don't need to worry about it anymore, you can go about your life, and this is actually what you do. You go about your life, you feel calm, you feel fulfilled, you feel content, and you have that inner knowing that your desire is coming. And while in that state, you might also notice that you might not be needing your desire as much anymore, if at all. You might notice that you don't feel the need to do techniques anymore, or if you do them, you might just do them for the pleasure of it. And you might even notice that you start feeling a little neutral, even borderline a little indifferent towards your desire. That is a good thing. That is showing detachment. So very briefly, that is what the Sabbath state is. It's a term that was coined by Neville Goddard himself, and it's another way of saying the state of the wish fulfilled or living in the end. They all mean practically the same thing. So on to the actual question. Once I have reached that Sabbath state, once I am in my state of the wish fulfilled, is it possible that I may fall out of it? And the answer, much to everyone's frustration, I'm afraid, is yes, it is actually possible. It is possible to fall out of any and all states. And the Sabbath state is no exception. Neville himself said that we go through multiple states even in one day. And he even admitted that he would, from time to time, fall into unfavorable states. So don't worry if it happens to you. It is normal. It happens to everybody. And it doesn't mean, of course, that you have ruined your manifestation or that you are harming your manifestation or anything like that. All it means is that you have temporarily fallen off track. And it's your little alarm bell, your little alarm system to get back on track as fast as you can. Now, the reason why you might have fallen out of the Sabbath state, even if you were in it for days or even weeks on end, they have to do with us being human as well as being our higher consciousness. And that contradiction, if you will, between our human nature and our higher consciousness nature. And so it does happen from time to time that there might be a trigger in our 3D, something might happen, someone might say something, we might read something or hear something, and then we fall off our favorable state. But the good news is, the more you practice getting into the state of the wish fulfilled and practicing fulfilling yourself from within, the more you practice living in the end, as we say, the more natural it becomes to get yourself into that Sabbath state, the easier it becomes, the more effortless it becomes, and you do reach a point where you're able to almost call in that state on demand. And also, if you do fall out of that state, as we all do at times, you are able to, number one, recognize it faster, number two, not spiral over it, and number three, get yourself back on track faster. So this is what your whole inner practice is doing. It's helping you to acquire self-mastery. Mastery of your thoughts, mastery of your feelings, mastery of your perceptions, mastery of your responses to the 3D, and ultimately mastery of your inner states. And the more you acquire that mastery, the easier it becomes to get back into the Sabbath state easily and effortlessly. So the question then is not so much, can I fall out of the Sabbath state? Because yes, you can, you do, you will. And we all do, and we all will at some point or other. The question is, how do you sustain the Sabbath state? And if you fall off track, how do you get back on track? Well, that, as I said, comes with practice. That, as I said, comes with training yourself and continuously steering your mindset towards that direction. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes and the easier it becomes. This is why I put so much emphasis on this channel on doing your inner practice, because it's the only way to overcome your old programming. It's the only way to overcome perhaps your social conditioning. It's the only way to overcome your limiting beliefs, limiting assumptions, and to overcome your dependence on the 3D. The more you do your inner practice, the more you're going to notice that you become more and more independent from the 3D and what is happening in it. And the less triggered you become by what you see in the 3D, the less you tend to internalize whatever happens in the 3D that might not align with what you want and might not serve you. And as such, the more you're able to keep yourself into the Sabbath state consistently, continuously, and sustainably. So yes, you guys, if you have reached the Sabbath state, first of all, congratulations, because it's a very, very important step in your manifesting journey. And know that once you have reached it, you are bound to reach it again and again and again and again, or actually sustain it for long periods of time. But if you fall off track here and there, don't worry, that's quite normal, it's quite expected. Don't focus on that, focus instead on how do I get back on? What am I triggered by? How can I transcend this trigger? What are my thoughts telling me? What state am I in? How can I transcend that state to get back into the Sabbath state, or at least into a more favorable state that is going to lead me into the Sabbath state? And how do I train myself to recognize my triggers, to overcome them, to nip them in the bud, so to speak, by addressing them, and as such, removing my layers of resistance and getting myself back into my state of the wishful field? And conversely, how do I prevent myself from falling out of the wishful field? By learning to recognize my triggers early on as they occur and learning to transcend them by addressing them and overcoming them. So bottom line, don't worry if you fall off your Sabbath state. It's okay, it happens. You can feel free to disregard the fact that you fell off instead of spiraling over it or worrying over it, and instead focus on getting back on and sustaining the state to the best of your ability. With all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I love making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.